Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. In today's video, we're going to be talking about common habits that make people instantly dislike you. By the end of this video, you actually will know how to get a communication going with whether it's your partner, your parents, your children. This applies to every single person because we all have people in our lives, and when we know how to communicate, there's going to be less stress involved, there's going to be less frustration involved, and you're actually going to be more freer, and you're going to have people on your side. And at the end of the day, this is all just with honoring and respecting one another. Has nothing to do with manipulation of what I'm going to be talking to you about today. If you use this to manipulate other people, all you're going to get back is manipulation back. You obviously don't want to get manipulated. So make sure that you do have a good heart when you do go into a conversation. But this video talks about ways on how people instantly dislike you, and you're gonna learn as to why, oh, no wonder these people don't like me and I keep doing this and I get it now. It's gonna click. So if it does click, let me know in the comments below. And at the end of the day, what it all comes down to, these particular habits that we do to make people dislike us is all ego. It really is all ego. So when you work on yourself and you shed off all this ego that you and I have to work on, and you know how to communicate with other people in a way that it's effective and it has made an impact in their lives at the same time, and yours too. So continue to watch. Have you been around someone who you're talking to but they're always on their phone? They're literally like no interest at you at all by just simply giving you an eye contact. Eye contact is so powerful when it comes to communication. Like these little things that we take for granted in communication, we just throw it off the window. But it's those little things. You don't have to have the best communications in the world for you to be the best communicator. No, sometimes communicating doesn't involve talking. When you just do the direct eye contact to someone because they're talking to you, that honors that person. But when you don't do that, people don't want to be around you. They just don't. Like it's really hard for them to be around someone who doesn't look at them at all. Especially like when you're on a date with your spouse or somebody and all they are doing, both of them, are on their phones. Like that doesn't create intimacy, that doesn't create communication, that doesn't create trust. None of those things. But when you just simply give them your full attention by shutting up and give them that direct eye contact, they will trust you beyond words, beyond anybody. So even that simple step can really create and build trust, and you'll live a very harmonious life when you do that. I know it sounds very cheesy, but try it out. When you, let's say, put your phone down and you actually make direct eye contact, that right there, people love, even though you have no interest in what they're talking about. But if you give them that space of just full eye direct contact, people will definitely immediately love you. I feel like sometimes when people complain like, oh, you know, people don't give me I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like no one's really listening to me. Well, what are you doing? What have you been doing lately? Have you been giving people your undivided attention to them? Eye contact, nodding, listening, asking questions. Have you done that? Yes, I have, Natalie, but I'm waiting for that person to honor me back. Well, what you're really creating in the situation is manipulation. Because if you're like doing it just for the other person to do it, it's not good. But if you simply do it out of a humble heart, being humble and not arrogant, you will feel like you are being heard by many others. But you gotta change this thing up here and this thing too in order for people to follow you. Anyways, just a simple direct eye contact when you're listening to somebody, it really is a huge way. Because let's face it, we really can't communicate with anybody if they're not looking at us. That's just bottom line. One thing that I've learned about communication and building bridges with people and growing your businesses and making more money, all this kind of stuff, because money comes from people. 93% of communication is nonverbal. It's not what you say, it's how you're saying it, or not even what you're saying. Nonverbal communication is smiling. Nonverbal communication is looking at their eyes. Nonverbal communication is nodding. All these things that we take for granted. Nonverbal communication is listening. Literally, that simple elementary habit that you can do will dramatically change your life. This next point is another huge one that I still fall short on. Like, you're not gonna master these things overnight. It takes time for people, but when you are aware, you try your best every single day to get good at it, you're one step ahead than you were last time or yesterday. But this major point is becoming the person that always has to be right about every single thing, or a person that always has to win every argument. This is such a huge ego is not even funny, because I'm the one that when I'm in an argument, like I always want to win the argument. I want to prove everything that I am right. And it's all really just feeding and stroking my ego. Has nothing to do with being humble. All I'm doing is I'm creating distrust. All I'm doing is creating walls with the other person. Having to always being right in an argument or win every single time does not create a harmonious relationship with anybody. Do you know of anyone that has this trait or has this habit? Or maybe you, I don't know, but I know I do. How does that make you feel when you can't even talk to that person because they're constantly wanting to win at every situation, at every argument? What is the goal? The goal is to ask you, do I want my ego to weigh more, or do I want my goal to weigh more? Weigh your ego with your goal, weigh your ego with your bank account, figure out which one weighs more. I feel like we have to ask ourselves every single time when we go into every situation, when we go into a conversation or even an argument, weigh your ego with your goal, figure out which one weighs more. I feel like argument, the word argument, it's like very strong. I would say maybe debating. Let's say I'm debating with a really great friend of mine and I want to win. I constantly want to win in the conversation. I have to think about, well, what's really important? Like, am I doing this for my ego, or do I really care about this person and I care about our relationship? I care about growing it. I care about us too. So what is the factor here? Oh, it's my ego. I just want to win because there's something that I'm searching for that I may not even know, that I haven't taken the time to ask myself and sit down and be like, okay, why am I always wanting to argue or win in an argument or be right? How about you just let it go? One of the things that I learned so heavily when it came to sales, actually when I used to work for Grant Cardone, is how to win in an argument is simply seeing them from their point of view and telling them that they are right. And that takes like a lot of courage for some people. That takes a lot of humility for some people. But you don't want to just say you're right just for the heck of it, because that's not good either. People see right through you. People can definitely sense your energy if you're just being not genuine at all. But when you simply put yourself in their shoes and try to see yourself with their perspective and try to understand their perspective, you will come into a conclusion that they are right. So I would utilize this tactic in sales, because let's be honest, everyone has opinions, everyone has suggestions, and we are all right. At the end of the day, in an argument, people want to be right. It's an ego thing. Bottom line, I love to be right, you love to be right. So when you have someone telling you that you're right, you're like, oh, well, I really can't win in the situation because they just told me that I was right. So it's like, how can I even continue this argument? You can't. How you stop every argument, how you create more transactions, how you create this harmonious life for yourself is that you're gonna come across in an argument, you're gonna come across a conversation. So yeah, sometimes it's easy to not be around people. Like, I would totally just do that. But how are you going to scale if you have a business and you want to scale, you want to make a lot of money, you want to do all these things, but you're like isolating yourself, you're not putting yourself out there? You're gonna face people regardless. So if you know communication skills, if you know how to deal with people, my gosh, you are walking on water. Because I used to isolate myself a lot growing up. It's so easy to do that. It's so easy to not talk to anybody. It's so easy to not deal with people. It's so easy to not network. And sometimes I still get caught up on that. But at the end of the day, it's like people are opportunities. The economy is driven by people. So everything is about people. What I'm trying to say is how you end an argument is trying to see it from their point of view and saying that they're right. And that unfortunately does stroke their ego, but you create trust, you disarm them, and now you guys are in the same page. When you actually take the time to understand that they're right. They're right. You are the bigger person in this equation. You are the one who is humble in the situation, and humility always wins. Humility always gets elevated in anything and everything that you do. Another habit that make people instantly dislike you and not trust you is when someone doesn't know how to necessarily receive a compliment. And I know exactly how to help you overcome that. Basically, when someone gives you a compliment, it's like a gift. And when someone doesn't receive it, or they bash it, or they override it, or say something negative about themselves, it's kind of like you're rejecting a gift, you're rejecting a present. Because when someone gives you a compliment, you have to understand that majority of the time, it's about them, to be quite honest with you. I know they'll say, you know, hey, I love your hair, I love your, what it is that they love, but when you reject it, they feel some type of way. They're like, well, she continues to reject my compliments, or he continues to reject my compliments. I really can't have a conversation with them. That instantly doesn't create trust. People can't trust you. So how do you receive a compliment? In the beginning, it may seem a little weird. Maybe you may think that the other person has some sort of bad intentions towards you when they give you a compliment, all these kind of stuff, right? At the end of the day, when you don't receive a compliment, well, it's an ego, and it's best to ask yourself, why is it that I can't receive compliments? Where is this coming from? And really get into that root as to why you're not very well at receiving compliments. And that's totally doable. Like, you can overcome this. When you really go into that root and you identify what that is, you're able to receive compliments a lot better. But the easiest way for right now to receive a compliment, even though if you don't feel like it, even though it doesn't make sense to you, but when you verbally say this, thank you, I received that, even though you really can't, but you simply just say that, naturally it'll start feeling right for you. Sometimes feelings aren't very logical, and it doesn't make sense for you to say, yes, I received that, when there's all the facts in the world that doesn't make sense for you to receive a compliment. Words are powerful, and I explained in this video how words do transform your life, how words do design your life, dictate your life, depending on what comes out of your mouth. What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying about other people? What are you saying about your circumstances, your situation? So compliment right now. When you simply just say, thank you, I received that, even though you don't. Just start with that simple exercise, and I'm telling you, over time, you're not gonna become conceited. You're not gonna become arrogant. You're going to look humble if you actually say that in a very humbling way. When someone tells you, I love your teeth, I love your eyes, just say, thank you, I received that, even though you don't feel like it. Like, it takes a lot for some people to just say a compliment. And it's a gift, it's a present. So even though you don't like the gift, receive it anyways, because it's not about you, it really is about them. And they want to be a better individual. They want to make someone smile. It's just part of them, who they are, when someone gives you a compliment. So receive it. And the more you receive positivity, you will have more positivity in your life. If you don't receive compliments, you're not gonna have a positive life. When you receive more blessings, thank you, to receive that, you'll have more blessings come to you. But if you reject the blessings, if you say, nah, I'm hideous, I'm horrible, bro, I can't have a conversation with you. And it's annoying, and I want to get out of this conversation. Simply say, thank you, I receive it. Listening, asking questions, giving the space for someone to express themselves. All of that is humility. And if you go against that, all it is, it's ego, especially in sales. And if you're in sales and you do these really well habits, these 2 videos I explain more on how to make someone like you instantly, how to create bridges with people. You actually become a humble person, and you do all these things. Life is so more peaceful. You live a stress-free life. You're less frustrated when you put yourself out of the equation, and you actually get to see it in a broader perspective rather than just a very close-minded way. When someone gives you a compliment, thank you, I received that. Utilize that. Let me know how that works for you. Let me know your comments. Comment them down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure you also subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Comment as well. I'm looking forward to connecting more with you, because you and I are overcomers. You and I can overcome literally anything. I do believe in miracles. I do believe that there is a solution to every single problem. And when you start implementing what's in this video, you're going to see results instantly. Go against all the dislike habits, do the like habits. You'll be better off that way. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. You are amazing. Make sure you receive that compliment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.